we're back once again with some hockey with me and my guy Jim. Jim, we're in the second half of the NHL season, but this past week we had three stars who were phenomenal. We had New York Rangers Artemi Panarin, San Jose Sharks Erik Karlsson, and Arizona Coyotes Clayton Keller. All three of them have been performing outstanding. Panarin, he reached 200 career goals this past Sunday. Karlsson, he leads defensemen in goals, assists, and points. And then Keller, he's leading Arizona in all categories with goals, assists, and points. And they've been putting out amazing performances last week. So those three guys were the key stars of last week.
Yeah, look, Erik Karlsson continues to have an amazing season for the San Jose Sharks. A lot of people had wrote him off since, last year. And, ever since the Achilles injury he had in Ottawa, he hadn't been the same player. There wasn't as much jump in his game. The speed wasn't there. He wasn't putting up the points. But now he's leading. If you take an early poll of a lot of players and general managers around the league and writers, you will believe that Erik Karlsson's probably leading the Norris Trophy voting for best defenseman. He leads everybody right now in points for defenseman, and he continues to have a remarkable year, bounce back year. If there's a comeback player of the year, it's Erik Karlsson for sure. Artemi Panarin, 4 goals on Saturday against Carolina Hurricanes. Just unbelievable what he's doing now with his running buddy, Vladimir Tarasenko there. These two guys are making magic. Obviously, their first game together, Panarin assisted on Tarasenko's goal. And then, they were split up a little bit, and that's when Panarin went off against Carolina. But Panarin, he can shoot the puck. He's a disher. And then Clayton Keller's the future of the Arizona Coyotes, continuing to do what he does all year. And the Coyotes have a bright future ahead. They just got to figure out that arena situation. And maybe you can make it Tampa West because you got golf there. You got a lot of good things. If they can get that arena situation settled, maybe the Coyotes can finally be a stable franchise in the NHL.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And Keller's only 24 years old. He's a 3-time All-Star already. So he's just been playing lights out. As Tarasenko, he wasted no time. In his first game with the Rangers, he scored against the Seattle Kraken. I feel bad for Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane wanted to come to New York, and him and Panarin, they were teammates from 2015 through 2017. Hopefully, Patrick Kane will land somewhere where he can compete. But hey, the man has 3 Stanley Cups. He's part of a dynasty of Chicago Blackhawks, early to mid 2010s. But Kane it did not sit well with him. They couldn't come to New York.
Yeah, it's a shame because he definitely was a team he wanted to go there. I know reports were that Tarasenko in the summer said he would waive his no-trade clause to go to teams in the metro area, the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils. He ends up going to the Rangers, but like you said, Patrick Kane and Panarin together, especially towards the end before Panarin went to Columbus, those guys were tearing it up in Chicago. If Kane could have got back to New York, look out, because he was linked to them all year. I think the asking price was a little bit too high for the Rangers to pull the trigger on him, plus some issues with Kane's hip. So they decided to go in a different direction. I know the Rangers were also in on Timo Meier, but I think the asking price for him also was high. So they go with Tarasenko, and now they look to try to sign him to an extension. You got Panarin there for a few more years. That core's not going anywhere. So hopefully the Rangers can do something and get him signed to an extension, because this team is really good.
Yeah, I really like Tarasenko with the Rangers. This was a huge pickup for them. Knowing that the Rangers have Tarasenko, and knowing how far the Rangers went last year, all came very close to going to Stanley Cup. If you had to predict, where do you see the Rangers going? Where do you see them finishing the season?
Look, I think expectations have to be they have to get back to the conference final now with the addition of Tarasenko, and if they can add another bottom line piece like a middle to bottom 6 forward, you have to win 2 rounds. Last year they got in, they won a round, they won 2 rounds. I think you have to get back to where you lost last year. The addition of Mikkola on the back end solidifies the defense too. You have the goaltending. I think the Rangers, I think if they don't go back to the Eastern Conference Final, I think it might be a little bit of a disappointment, especially for the players inside the room. Again, you have to manage expectations, but now you went all in with Tarasenko. I think that's a move to show your fans you're going to want to win now. Sometimes those things don't work out, but when you have two buddies there playing together, I think the Rangers, to me, I think that's a legit, position to go to the Western Conference Final. The Eastern Conference Final. I'm sorry. They could get back to a Stanley Cup too. You never know. But again, it's going to be tough in the East, Carolina, New Jersey. Let's see how things play out there. But again, I think the Rangers have put themselves in a good position.
Before we go into the next topic, I gotta say, I definitely want to see Rangers and Devils in the postseason like the old days.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'd be nerve-wracking on my end for sure, even though I've tried to take the fan glasses off as much as possible, but it's always nerve-wracking when those two teams play. And then also, their old series, the Devils, I finally got one over on the Rangers, but, it's going to be tough. And their regular season games this year have been excellent. So I can't wait for the next one. These two teams always play well against each other. And if both teams are going to be healthy, and then say the Devils admire, oh my God, like the offense in that series is going to be ridiculous.
Yes, indeed. Now, last but not least, Los Angeles Kings, Adrian Kempe. I mean, he has been unbelievable. 7 goals in the last 3 games. This guy has been on fire. What do you say?
Dude, I've loved Adrian Kempe's play since he came to LA Kings. And then, he's playing with Gabe Vilardi a lot. So Vilardi was off to a good start this year for LA. And, look, they exploded. This is a team, in the Pacific, with a lower Pacific division, that they have to put wins together, and they're starting to put those wins together again, especially with Calgary charging, with Edmonton charging, all those teams charging, and the Kings, they won on Dustin Brown night. They won again the other night, and Kempe, a big reason of it. He leads that offensively. You have Arvidsson there, you have Kevin Fiala. When those guys struggle, there's Adrian Kempe just doing his thing with Anze Kopitar and Vilardi. And obviously the Kings, we know the Kings are in discussions to add Jacob Chikrin. Obviously they know Brant Clark's not going to be a part of the deal. They can add a guy like Chikrin to their back end. Look out, I think the Kings could be a player again this year in the playoffs.
Last year in the first round against Edmonton, they gave him quite a scare. That was the moment where I knew, I knew that the Kings are a young team and they're still developing and growing. But when they challenged that team of Edmonton Oilers, I said, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. We saw how good the Kings were about a decade ago, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know.
A decade ago. Yes, I'm still salty that they beat the Rangers, but whatever.
Hey, they beat the Devils too, so I mean.
Yeah, but that was a great team. I meant that, and they were very physical. But this young team, I like what I'm seeing from these Kings. So they're going to be a team to look out for in the future.
Absolutely, they are. I mean, look, they took the Oilers. They gave the Oilers all they could, and Jonathan Quick turned back the clocks last year, and that was a big reason why the Kings were in those series. I mean, he just played lights out. He plays like 2012, 2014, Jonathan Quick, and the Kings were there. And I think that's another area that they want to probably solidify. I mean, right now, Phoenix Copley's the guy, but, can they get another suitable veteran in there? Can Quick play? Because he's getting up there in age too. And, this team has to get younger as well. But the Kings they're right there again. And, if they can make another big move, look out. They can give a lot of teams some scares this year in the playoffs.